Um, let's get into the Democratic Party's super unpopularity. I'm sure this is the case. uh, as someone who the Democratic Party is supposed to represent, I fucking hate them. So, uh, but let's see. Shock poll. Democratic Party super unpopular. Voters hate Kamala, Newsom, AI, Iran. Uh, every single one of these are not shocking whatsoever. I feel, yeah, everyone I talk to feels the exact same way about this. Like, yeah, the Democrats suck, Kamala sucks, Newsom sucks, AI sucks, Iran sucks. Like, going to war with Iran sucks is what I mean. So let's see what the Hill, God, okay. Let's bash our heads against the wall for a second and read an article by the Hill. The Democratic Party has a huge image problem, according to a new poll from NBC News. The party and its most likely 2028 presidential candidates are toxically unpopular with voters. This poll caught my attention and the attention of a lot of people on social media because it suggested that AI is becoming unpopular. Social media noticed that AI was 20 points underwater. Yeah, it's pretty unpopular, making it even less popular than ICE, which was minus 18 on favorability. Yeah, okay. See, I knew ICE was like super unfavorable. I guesstimated that stat last time. I think I was pretty close. Um, Now, this was a survey of 1,000 registered voters over the telephone and via text message, and it has an error margin of 3 points. So do take all of this with a grain of salt, plus or minus 3 points. They just gave the error margin. So even so, it's striking to me that the Democratic Party as an institution was even more unpopular than ICE and AI! Exclamation point. That's not shocking to me at all. The Democrats suck. The only thing that pulled worse as a concept was Iran. The general concept of Iran pulled terribly. I assume they mean war with Iran, but the nation we're currently at war with, or sorry, in a military action situation. Okay, I hate when articles do this. They try to be funny. They try to be funny like me when I try to write shit. And it reminds me of my terrible writing, and I get mad at myself, and then I get mad at them. Okay, not a war. Don't call it a war. Whatever you do. Yeah, this is totally how I'm being serious. This is exactly how I would write a sentence like this, and it's annoying me to hear somebody else do it. um, let's see. And the likely Dem candidates fared little better. Kamala Harris is at minus 17 points, and Gavin Newsom is at minus 18. AOC is comparatively popular at minus 11. That compared with minus 11 for JD Vance and minus 7 for Marco Rubio. Yeah, I mean, so Kamala Harris sucks, Gavin Newsom sucks. AOC is okay. Like, she's better than the other ones. She could still be better than she is and do better than she is if she was a little better at messaging or whatever. But yeah, I'd be curious how they would also compare to like Bernie Sanders or whatever. I know that he's like old and not running, but I would be curious how he would compare in numbers. Harris, by the way, is reportedly undecided on whether she's running for president again, but she's definitely keeping her options open. I really hope to God she doesn't. She's a loser. She smells like a loser. Nobody's going to vote for her because she's a loser. Democrats notoriously don't like having losers on their ticket. So I really hope she doesn't run. It would be an embarrassment, in my opinion. But just for her sake, like oh, not that I'm a fan of her. I'm not a fan of Kamala Harris for anybody watching this. A long profile of her in Politico notes that Harris is taking some steps towards a run, but still won't commit either way. Meanwhile, the desire for her is practically non-existent from the Democratic base. No one is demanding that she be foisted on them again. Exactly, she was literally anointed to us as our person that we must vote for, and then she threw it all away instantaneously by continuing to support Biden's genocide in Gaza. So yeah, fuck her. Um, and her most recent foray into politics was a last minute endorsement of Jasmine Crockett. Bad call. In the Texas Senate primary, Crockett was decisively beaten by James Tallarico, who is now the Dem nominee, not a weighing tactic for Kamala. And there's a reason that she did that. Jasmine Crockett is more aligned with the establishment Democrats than Tallarico in terms of her policy positions. She is a like firebrand or whatever, and she is very good speaker, but her policies are very much neoliberal, just like conservative Democrat shit. Um, James Tallarico, while we don't know for sure how he's going to actually govern, portrayed himself as a left populist who was more like aligned with, I guess, the Bernie wing of the party, and that's why he won. He was the more electable candidate, and he has a better chance in the actual general than Jasmine Crockett would have. Uh, so like it's no surprise to me that someone with like Kamala, who has the like probably potentially the worst political instincts of any presidential nominee that has ever existed in the history of America, would choose to side with Jasmine Crockett. At the very least, she should have just stayed out of it. She's just showing how bad she is at this. So, anyway, not a winning tactic for Kamala Harris. Even so, Harris got a favorable shout out from a potential 2028 rival, Newsom, oh, gruesome Newsom, who wrote on X, "This wouldn't have happened under her watch." Wait, what? From a Got a favorable shout out from a potential. What's he talking about? This wouldn't have happened under her watch. Is he talking about like Iran? I, I mean, personally, I think it would have happened either way. I think Israel was going to do this shit and we were going to get dragged in regardless. But I guess that's what he's talking about. But I'd have to see the tweet. Presumably, I should just read the next sentence, I guess. Presumably, he's talking about the events in Iran. And it's true that Harris indicated she would have opposed this sort of action, even though the Trump campaign, particularly Vance, implied that it would be Harris, not Trump, who would take the nation to war with Iran. So much for that. Okay, so much for that. But also, she portrayed herself as having the most lethal military. She portrayed herself as being a warmonger. She chose to do that. She palled around with Liz Cheney of like, you can't be mad at like people at the voting populace for seeing what Kamala Harris was saying and then believing it. And like when she completely conceded the anti-war position to Trump and Vance, she shouldn't have done that. I don't know why she did that. Like that was a stupid mistake by her. Um, yeah, so much for that. This must be a lib who wrote this. It's just kind of rare on the Hill. The Hill is usually a pretty like Republican coded, but polls like this one from NBC show that no matter how many questionable policies the Trump administration pursues, no matter how many openings they create for Dems by, let's say, hugely increasing the price of gas, the Democratic Party remains toxically unpopular. Americans don't love everything Trump does, but they're really, really not sure they can trust the Democrats to govern ever again. Yeah, I mean, that's because the Democratic Party doesn't stand for anything at all. They used to have a like somewhat working class base way back in the day. They decided to get rid of that entirely so that they could focus like solely on like suburban like small business tyrants or whatever. They basically threw away their entire brand. And then the only thing that they had left at that point, because they can't lean into like any sort of left-wing populism, because that would oppose their that would be that would oppose their like billionaire donors and stuff. The only thing that they could lean into at that point is identity politics, and then they would focus entirely on identity without any substance for any actual or like any actual policies that would improve the material conditions of the working class. And so until they decide to change that, that's kind of why they're just like sitting around not doing anything, to be honest. Like they're sitting around just letting the Republican Party like collapse essentially, instead of being out there actively trying to win people over to their side. It's because they don't want to win if it means actually being pro working class. And that's why we need candidates like Tallarico and various others to come in and demolish the Democratic Party, destroy it, throw it like bury it 6 feet under, and then rebuild something better on top of it. And it has to start with working class politics, and it has to like and it can it like you can't just do identity, it can't be just identity politics without like actual working class policies that will improve the material conditions of everybody. That doesn't mean throw identities under the bus or whatever. That doesn't mean like throw trans people under the bus like they're currently doing. um, Support them all the way every day, 24/7, full-throated support for like every minority, every identity, but you also have to provide material like uplifting like support to the people that you're trying to represent. Otherwise, it just comes across as phony and fake, which is what the problem with the Democratic Party has been. So yeah. Anyway, that was a little bit of a fun one, I think. I love shitting on the Democratic Party. I think people, I always wonder what the average American thinks of me. Like if they ever come across my videos, like, do they even understand what my policy, like what my positions are? Because like I'm so far outside of the realm of like what most Americans know about politics in terms of being like, you know, anti-capitalist leftist or whatever that like because sometimes I think the shit that I say sounds based to Republicans too, because I shit on the Democrats so hard and because I, hate billionaires and hate, elites and all that shit. But I am kind of curious.